Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If you've been here, welcome back. Today in this video you will be watching a segment from a video that my husband and I have put together. We're kind of just talking about our experience having a late talking child and just kind of the journey that we've been on, and somebody had asked me to expand on what Einstein Syndrome was, so I ended up just kind of making it a whole video talking about our late talker's journey. So in this video, you're going to be able to see one segment of the video. If you want to watch the full video, it is here on my channel, and I will be posting different segments from the entire video because the entire video is an hour and a half long. To help the algorithm push this out to more people, it would be really helpful if you guys could like, comment, subscribe to the channel. As you're watching these videos, if you have any other things that you want me to dig into more, any other questions, or if you've noticed and just want to share your experiences that you've had with your late talker, please leave a comment below and we would love to read and respond to whatever you guys say. Please also keep in mind, we are not experts when it comes to this. We are speaking mainly from our experiences of me as a teacher in the school system and my husband being a late talker himself, and then also the things we experience with our late talker from day to day. But the biggest thing that we really want to encourage other parents, whether you're in this same situation or other things, stand up for your child. You are the parent. Don't be afraid to use your voice, to say no to things you don't agree with or things that you just don't feel are right. Remember, you have your child forever. You are the driver in the car of your child's life, their future. And everybody else that comes in and out are just passengers. So remember that you have to be the advocate for your child, and it's okay to say no to things that you don't think are right, but you also have to be willing to put the work into the solution that you're wanting. You have to remember that these passengers are in and out, but if you don't like the passengers that are in and out of your child's life, then you need to also be willing to do whatever it takes to get them there. You can't force anybody to do things the way that you want. You have to be willing to do those things yourself. Thank you so much for coming here and for taking the time to listen to what we have to say and to watch our videos. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Morgan. This is my channel Osomo, and we are here to talk to you about Einstein Syndrome. Somebody commented on one of my, I think it was my PBX detox videos, that they wanted to know more about it.
And there's a special category of late talking children that you talk about who have their own special characteristics. So who are those kids?
So that's called the Einstein Syndrome. And that was first coined by Dr. Thomas Sowell, who actually wrote a whole book on Einstein Syndrome. And actually, some of the data we collected are in that book. So in a fundamental way, the Einstein Syndrome is named after Einstein, who allegedly was a late talker, but obviously was very gifted in physics and mathematics. And so a late talker who has a precocious analytical ability, mathematical ability, oftentimes that'll trade off. So they talk late, but then they have this real strength and thinking ability. And that's how we define Einstein Syndrome.
So we're going to talk about it. This is something that we have thought about in regards to our son. We have a late talker, and we've been diving into just different ways to help him with his talking, which, as I've been doing more diving, a lot more has opened up to me. So I'm also going to make sure I put some of the resources that I've been watching and listening to, some of the books that I've listened to. I'm going to put those in my description box below, so you can also look into those things yourself. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my experiences from my perspective of my late talking son. My husband's going to also talk to you about his experiences with our late talking son as well. My husband was a late talker. He did not talk till he was 5. Our son is now 3. He is just now starting to verbalize things. He's been using sign language as his main way of communication. He knows a lot of things in his head, and I think the biggest thing when it comes to late talkers and even connecting Einstein Syndrome is understanding that just because a child does not talk does not mean that they are not capable of a lot of things.
With some limited exceptions, all late talking children are usually better at that than they are with their speaking.
Because that's where their focus is, right?
It's
And
where their focus
brain
is, but also, again, if you think of it, this is a trade-off. They're really going with the visual spatial and learning that and solving that, while other children are learning how to talk. And that's one of the reasons that it takes them longer, because they're spending their developmental time with the visual spatial, thinking ability, and so on, and they're spending less time, if you will, and less neural resources on the talking. So they're just different than other children, but it's actually not necessarily anything that's bad. And in fact, these children tend to go into fields like engineering, or some of them might go into music, or some of them might go into math and things like that. So they end up having a really good path forward, but when they're little, it's really noticeable. And since so much of our education and treatment is focused on talking and listening, they really stand out as having challenges.
Our son, before he even turned 3, he knew all of his letters, all of his sounds. L. Shapes, colors. Where's the green? Good job. Animal sounds. He was able to sort all of his letters in order from A to Z. A, B, C. You do it. You do it. Put it right there. Slide it up. A, B, C, D. You do it. You do it. All right. A, B, C, D, E. You do it. You do it. Put it up there. Put it next to the E.
Set.
Good job.
Good job.
Moments like these where he had that upside down, it was really bothering my OCD, so it was very imperative that I did not mess up his train of thought. What's next? So I did not correct it. I left it alone. We're missing the next letter. We're missing the next one. It's gone. It's supposed to be M. Okay, so the M, and then let's do, I'll give you the next one. Let's leave a space. And, huh?
Under A. Line of perfect is 13 and 13.
Here. And, okay, what comes next? Is it not over there?
He's just getting distracted. Well, it's there. He's just letting the movie get the better of him.
Hey, focus.
Zoe, no ma'am.
Nope.
No ma'am.
That's not it.
Out the drawer, no ma'am. No. No.
What comes after S?
No. Zoe, no
Look.
ma'am.
Hey, what comes after S?
No.
No, that's fine. Keep S there. Keep S right here. What comes next? No, leave it. Okay, what's next? Zoe. That's not it. No. Good job.
We weren't missing one.
Good job, my little stinky. Our fridge was not long enough to put them all in the same row, so he would do A to M on the top row and N to Z on the bottom row. In this video, you're also going to see me kind of put clips in here of our son, either while we're talking or even just where I feel like I can fit it in. So I hope that this video is helpful to some of you who are working with late talkers right now and trying to figure out, what do I do? Do I do something? Do I not do something? All those different things.
So he pretty much follows the same path that I did as a child, right? And I'm a twin. I had a bunch of different things happen in my childhood from the time that I was born. So with that being the case, a lot of people look at him and give him fault, or try to find fault in him because he's not talking yet and he's 3 years old. But I didn't talk until I was 5. My brother didn't talk till he was 5. We were twins. Had a little bit of intercommunication between the two of us, but other than that, we had maybe 3 or 4 words mastered at his age, and that's pretty much where he's at. He shows great analytical ability in other areas. So his letters, numbers, shapes, colors, like he is well beyond a 6, 7-year-old standard in learning, and he loves it. So his analytical thinking is extremely solid, and that's why we kept getting sent or asked to take him to a specialist and get him diagnosed, which, we tooth and nail would fight against that. Don't ever diagnose your child at that early of an age. Give them a chance. So similarities between me and my son: one, we look very identical when I was his age. I know I've got a little bit extra now, but typically I'm in pretty good shape. The last year has been pretty rough on me, but when I was his age, I was stick thin up until about 14, 15. Then I started putting on weight, and I ate like a bottomless pit. So did my brother. We were always busy, always active, and killer metabolism. He's the same way. He eats a ton. You can ask his mom. His plates are getting closer and closer to the size of my plates at this point. So between the looks, if we go into the behaviors, again, I didn't speak, and my brother didn't speak well until we were 5.
So it's true. So there's a certain increased probability of being late talking if you have a primary or secondary relative that's late talking. So, I'm late talking according to my mom, and then one of my sons is late talking. And then if you do these kind of, they're like population studies. They're not experimental per se, but you just do surveys, for example, like Dr. Soul did in the book, The Einstein Syndrome. You say, okay, in the general population, there's a certain X probability someone's going to be an engineer, someone's going to have a mathematical, they're going to have a musical relative, a relative who makes their living in music or whatever it is. And those probabilities tend to be higher in late talking children. And certainly in Einstein syndrome, we see that there's usually a first or second order relative who's, really accomplished mathematician, or who's working, who's working for NASA as an engineer or something like that. They're clearly high achieving. And so there's clearly a familial relation with that, and just based again on odds of those occurring in the population, there's a higher probability in the late talker.
Up to that point, we could communicate between each other a little bit, could communicate with adults by kind of asking or signaling with our hands, which is what he does. Sign language wasn't a big thing then because we didn't have social media and TikTok and everything else to teach us, or YouTube to put our kids in front of to learn sign language, which that has been a crutch for him. Because he picked up sign language quick. So there's a lot of signs I don't know, his mom doesn't know, but he'll come up and he'll do his little juice sign and let us know what he needs. And he's finally getting to the point where he's trying to verbalize everything instead of using signs. So that's one similarity. I can't say I have, but I guarantee you, if I had a device to stare at that gave me that feedback, I would have learned the same thing just as quick, because it's interesting. And then again, it becomes a crutch like anything in life. When you have an alternate means to do something, you don't want to do the difficult part. Beyond that, the potty training. My brother and I took a very long time to potty train. I think we were 4 or 5 before we were completely off of pull-ups. I remember I was at a daycare, stay-at-home daycare, and I peed in a corner because I was in trouble, and I had my nose in the corner. And my brother and I were extremely shy because we were adopted. We had some abuse and other things happen in our past. Like, I could write a book about it. Very strict upbringing in a lot of ways. And we weren't adopted until we were about 3 years old. So up to that point, with the foster care and everything else, we just learned to keep our mouth shut and keep our head down, basically, smile and nod. And a lot of his actions show that he's kind of shy like that. He's not, I don't know, we've never been hard enough on him to put him that way. We think some things might have happened in other places and areas that caused a little bit of, I don't know if I want to use the word trauma, but he would cry before we take him to these places. He would pull back and he would try to stay home with us because he didn't want to go there. And he's always been very excited to go to these places.
When it comes to Jace's speech, there were a lot of different things that we tried because we were honestly trying to figure out why he was starting to try to communicate with us, and then it kind of slowed down. And there were a lot of things that happened at that time. We had just had Zoe. He just had new childcare, some other things. But basically with the slowdown, I don't know if it was something that happened to him. I hate to use the word trauma. We don't know if something traumatic happened to him. At this point, I don't think it's a heavy metal problem because, in regards to the speech, I don't think it's a heavy metal problem because we've been doing the heavy metal detox for over a year now. I think it's been 2 years. The talking has been coming, but I don't think it's an attestment to the detox.
So with that being the case, he has struggled with potty training. The last few months, he has really gotten better. I mean, it's week to week, day to day. Last week was perfect. Week before was bad. This week has been 50-50. And I was the same way. Again, I peed in a corner because I was too scared, too shy to go ask. And we think that's what's going on with his current teacher. It's a newer place. It's his first time in an environment where everything is desks and organized. He's having to learn to ask, and again, not being verbal. So it's hard for him to do that, being shy on top of it. And then whatever we think may have happened at other locations. So all that has combined to create a difficult storm to work our way through, but he's getting better. As he gets older, gets more confident in himself. Early communication between me and Jace, because he was with me for a few months at the house while we were trying to find a daycare to put him in. And I work from home, so he got a lot of time with me, but not as much time as I would have liked. I've got meetings and requirements like anybody. So we would, if he needed something from me, because he's a very extraordinary kid in the way that he's extremely independent. Just naturally, he wants to do things on his own. So he would just come to, when he got stuck on something or couldn't figure it out on his own, he would come to me, grab my hand, and pull me wherever he needed me to go, right? So he might make some verbal noise, but typically it was literally just come, grab my hand, and bring me to wherever he needs me to help him. And then he would maybe point or touch it and hand it to me and just let me know that, hey, this is, a toy I need fixed, or this is an item I need you to look at and show me how to use. So since he could crawl, and it got real bad when he was able to walk and got really mobile, even though he couldn't talk, when he wanted to go somewhere, he was ready. And he knew, and this is from, 18 months or earlier, he would go, even if he had to just kind of, scoot his bottom all the way across the floor and go find his shoes, find a pair of socks, because the house was very organized, and he would bring it to me. So we're talking about a 3,000 square foot house, long hallway and everything, and this little kid would just scoot across the house, grab his shoes, grab his socks, and then bring it to me. And I was sitting there working, eating lunch one day, and he just brings his shoes in there, and I'm not really paying attention to him. I'm watching a meeting or something while I'm eating, and he just throws them right in my plate of food because he wanted to go, and he didn't know how to show us or let us know. So he was like, here's my shoes, old man. You figure it out. Get me where I need to go. Doors. So he's fascinated with noise and mechanical items.
So Jason, loud noises. It's really a conundrum. Jason does not shy away from loud noises, but I have noticed that it has to be at a certain frequency. For example, Jace can ride on the lawnmower with my husband and it not bother him in the slightest. Like if my dad is drilling or if my husband is drilling with the drill, it's like that high-pitched noise, it really bothers him. And I mostly noticed it when we would do speech virtually. With our speech, we have a flexibility that if we can't come in, we can just do it virtually over Zoom. Whenever she'd play a song through Zoom, there was like a high-pitched frequency. It just bothers him.
Like bullseye. You want to talk about animals? Yeah, Miss Kinsley, of course I do. Okay. Let's share the sound so you don't have to hear her singing.
You don't know if it's going to be loud yet.
Dave and Ava.
Again, he could be around the vacuum. He could be around his loud screaming sister. But it's like a frequency that seems to bother him when it comes to loud noises.
So he understood as soon as he could grab door handles, the lever style, how to open them. He understood the knobs too, but even now he struggles with the knobs and the hand strength. But with the lever, he knew if he scooted over that door and then pulled himself up, he could grab that lever and it would sling the door open, and we had a pull outside. So he would always open the door, grab his swimming trunks, because typically they were laying in the laundry room on top of the dryer for getting washed. So he knew where to find those. He'd just grab them off the top, grab them off the edge, wherever they happened to be, and he would just drag them up to the pool door and then drag me to the door after he had everything sitting out there by the pool and let me know he's ready to go swimming. So he understands very complicated topics that would require 2, 3, 6 steps to accomplish and who to get to do it.
Again, this is only one segment from the whole entire video, so if you want more, you can go watch that entire video or you can wait as I post weekly. Thanks for popping by, and I hope that you're here to stay. Thanks so much for watching our video today. Bye!
She's not alone.